Especially in today's age when kids are very opinionated and they don't listen.
Yeah.
I had what is that song? Malangte like tala, and
Hello, beautiful people, and welcome back to Parenthoot Spotlight, the space where we celebrate real parents, real journeys, and all the beautiful intersections between who we are and who we are raising. Today's episode is about something that speaks to all of us, even before we learn to speak music. My guest today is Mukta, the founder of Tootly Music, an initiative born out of her love for music, her management background, and her motherhood journey. Mukta is an alumna of Indian Institute of Management, Ahmedabad, has over 13 years of training in Hindustani classical vocal music, and has performed across India since she was just 3 years old. Her journey took her from investment banking to running a music academy to now creating Tootly, a program that makes Indian classical and traditional music fun, engaging, and deeply meaningful for young children. Mukta, welcome to Parenthoot Spotlight. It's such a pleasure to have you here.
thank you, Neha. What a brilliant and sweet and warm introduction. So nice of you to have me here. Happy to be here.
Tell me, let's start from the beginning of Tootly. When did the idea of Tootly music first take shape in your mind? Was there a particular moment that you thought this needs to exist?
Yeah, but it kind of, as with a lot of things, once you look back with retrospect, you realize how so many things have been feeding into that moment. So I've learned music for many years. I've learned music as a child, but even before that, I've grown up in a musical household. So as an infant, I was taken to music concerts. Both my parents are lovers of music. They've never been trained, but they kind of valued the presence of classical music. So there were instruments in the house, there were people singing, practicing in the home. So this was all a very natural environment for me as I was growing up. Training was a separate aspect. I learned for many, many years. I did perform, but kind of when I became a mother and when I saw that spark in my child as a parent of music, and I tried to teach him
Hmm.
the way that I have learned, because we learned in a more traditional format, in a guru shishya. It was a very different relationship at that time, a very serious and traditional relationship. And then when I started trying to teach my child, it just fell flat on the face because he just said no, as with kids nowadays. But when I realized that when I'm teaching him without teaching him formally, like making him sit down, he learns much better. So that's when these ideas started. Uh, at the same time, I mean, since I became a mom, I had left my corporate job, which was very, very strenuous and very demanding, long hours. I was in investment banking. So I felt that that cannot kind of balance with being a parent. So I left that. And so in that time between when my son became around 3, which is what I'm saying, I did dabble a bit in freelancing, and I did a lot of work in education, which was something that I was passionate about. It gave me some flexibility of working as a freelancer. So there was a whole new world that I realized was out there of how kids can be educated. I also then started homeschooling my kids. So that was one angle of learning can be fun that kind of seeped into my life. Till then, I never thought about all of this. I'm not a teacher. I have no like formal training as a educator, okay, to say. Uh, this happened. I was also working with a few musicians at the time, and I saw that a lot of them had this resentment that I had learned music. I wish I had learned properly. Some of them were YouTube self-taught kind of say. And at 30 and 40, you realize, oh, I wish when I was a kid I had stuck to that music class that my mom forced me to. But there was also a common theme saying, but I didn't enjoy it back then. No, I didn't like it. That's why I quit it. So there was this bias against classical music. As a trained musician, I knew that there was that beauty in it, but maybe a child cannot appreciate it, at that age. As a parent, I could see that happening firsthand. And as an educator, I knew that there is something that we are maybe not tapping into. So all of this kind of came together. And then I started experimenting. I got a few of his kids together. I think we started with 8 kids. And I said, okay, And I remember the first session, I was so scared of like dealing with toddlers because, like I said, I have no education. I literally had a script, like I had written word to word what I'm going to say in that class. It was a 5-page script because just to engage a toddler for half an hour is such a mammoth task. And then it kind of started going well. And the beauty was that, the kids would just say no. So you instantly knew what's going to work and what's not. And it kind of, with that first bunch of 8 kids, it morphed into a 3-month curriculum and then more. So that's how Tootly started. Yeah, I think the name also I figured out around then, maybe a few days into it. I just used to call it music for children. And then when things started becoming a little scaled up, then I started thinking of making this a more mainstream. I mean, it was the original aim was not to start a business, not to become Tootly at all. It was more to just ensure my kid learns music at that age because that age is so important to expose them to music. So Tootly is inspired by Toot Toot, like the musical toy. So the idea was it's like the first, it's music and fun, like it's music and play. So in my mind, it represented that. It was also a word like, just from a very practical business point of view, you need a word that is you can get a website for, right?
Yeah.
So quickly. I also wanted it to be something that a kid can say easily. So when a kid says Tootly, it sounds cute and it's nice. Because the whole point was it should be child centric and like it should be from the point of view of a 3-year-old, not something an adult wants to create. It should be something that a 3-year-old naturally enjoys. So that is what Tootly was.
And talk about, tell us a little bit about Tootly's approach. How is it different than traditionally when children are introduced to music? How is Tootly's approach different?
So see the basic, I would say the musical concepts or the music that we are teaching, we are not reinventing that at all because it's been handed down for centuries. And it's not only Indian music. If you actually go to the core of it's like reading, right? So you have to know the letters. It doesn't, maybe they're different in different languages, they're called, but they are the building blocks. So you can't mess with that. And there's no need to reinvent that because it's been working and it's beautiful and it's universal, right? So the basic blocks are that. So we start with, in terms of curriculum, first to just introduce the child to use their voice, experiment with their voice. At 3-year-old, a lot of kids are shouting. So, my very first lesson is, okay, what is music? It needs to sound nice. So if you're shouting, then even if you're singing the most difficult song, it's, just stop and reflect, So I want to kind of put that seed, nurture that thought of the aesthetics of what music should mean to the child from that age in whatever simple terms. So voice, then introducing the notes and introducing some exercises to bring them up to a level where they get interested in music, they are able to sing a bass, some basic stuff. They don't have this negative bias to classical music already. Like a lot of parents will like sarigama wo to budde logo ke liye, right? This is huge because we've not been exposed to it in that traditional sense. And also to build something that will nurture the interest long term beyond Tootly. Like Tootly is, I think, just a bridge. It's like you put the kid in a pre-primary, before you choose CBSE or ICSE or whatever. So that's what Tootly is. Now, how we do it is, again, like I said, everything I tried to think, I had the advantage of being around 3 and 4-year-olds at the time. Everything was from the point of view of how is he or she seeing it. Okay. So is 5 minutes too much time? So first was the time. So we kind of started making activities that are only 3-4 minute long. Okay. Because that's the first point of, that's where a kid loses. As great as the teacher might be, you take a kid to a class, a traditional class, you expect them to sit in one place for 45 minutes. It's a non-starter. Okay. So that second is I incorporated a lot of movement and activities that kids already enjoy. Like they like movement, they like coloring, they like pointing, they like being in a group. So those things started being incorporated. And the third was how to explain a concept. So I'll take a simple example. The very basic stuff of music is you sing in an ascending and a descending order. Okay. So now how do you tell this to a child? So I said, okay, imagine you're going up and down a slide, right? So a slide is something that every child knows, enjoys, right? So for them, it's instantly a place of fun, a memory that they associated with, oh, I like this, so I can do this. So that's how we start. And the last bit was kind of breaking down the things like remembering Sarigama, again with the class, first day the teacher, okay, there are 7 notes and these are the notes and we sing them like this. Okay. I mean, it's so bland and boring to a 3-year-old who sees a pen as a plane, right? So
Yeah.
you have to kind of try to have that sense of wonder around it.
Yeah.
So Tootly has stories, Tootly has movement, Tootly has activities, Tootly has coloring, Tootly has, oh, let's listen to this new instrument today. So the idea is variety, a lot of sensory input in terms of variety. And also from the point of view of a 3-year-old, ensuring that their attention span is interested, by incorporating different elements into it and very gradually taking them along. Uh, the other thing we figured was, which is different to a traditional class, is you might do 60 minutes in a week, right, of a
Hmm.
traditional class. So maybe you do twice a week, so 120 minutes. So we said, okay, don't do 60 minutes in one go. What if you do 6 days of 10 minutes each, right?
Hmm.
So then you're, as we see with child, you do something today, you do it tomorrow, they're going to work off of that. So it's the way kids learn, right? They don't learn by sitting and being instructed. They learn by doing and experiencing and enjoying.
Yeah.
So those are some of the guiding principles that we use at Tootly.
So something that as a mother, I'm very, very interested in and curious about, like I don't encourage screen time for my child. And it's, how do you deal with that? How do
No,
you?
I'm with you. My kid is I'm 11 years old. We don't have a TV at home. He doesn't. We are a no screen home. So even when he was a kid, he had no screens. But I mean, to be screen free for 10 years, I think
Yeah.
seems like a feat now in today's world, unfortunately. So that was a very it was a question that I grappled with as a parent, morally, and as a business owner, saying I
Yeah.
can't put something out there that I'm not, it's like Mark Zuckerberg will not let his kids on Facebook, right?
Yeah.
So how do you put something out there that you don't believe in as a parent?
Right.
Now, when Tootly started, it was a physical class, but we soon realized that that also has its limitations, because to take a toddler to a faraway destination is not easy. वो आएंगे, then they'll want to go to the bathroom or
Yeah.
something. So or they're hungry. So there was a limit to which that could scale. COVID actually happened at that time, and then we had to anyway put on our thinking hats and see what we can do in this new world, because we
Yeah.
didn't know when COVID started how life is going to be. Parents became a little okay with online education.
Yeah.
But again, with a toddler, this will not work. You can't just take what you did in the classroom and expect the same to work in another format, right? You have to think through it. Uh, the good thing was we had done it for, I think, a good 2-3 years. So about 600-700 kids had done that format.
Wow.
So we
Yeah.
knew, like I said, what activities work. And then we tried to translate that to the screen. Okay.
Mm.
So instead of maybe me drawing on a whiteboard or the child coloring, now they have a worksheet that they download, or, it's on the screen. Regarding the screen itself, this was also a time when in parallel, the edtech industry was booming. There was massive graphics. So I just decided to go the completely opposite way. So Tootly screen is basically white. Okay, there's
Mm.
nothing on the screen. It's the worst animation you'll probably see in a kid's video. It's like line drawing. Okay,
Yeah.
so it's to the point that the kid might actually get even bored of the visual. It's on purpose, because we don't want the child to get stimulated or distracted, because we are relying heavily on the child's ability to watch and listen at that time.
Yeah.
So I cannot have an object that is, sparkling here, an unnecessary noise in the video. Anything, not one word is out of place, not one sentence is, repeated unnecessarily. It's all very thought through and all of that. So minimal kind of visual distraction was one thing. Second is we made it, like I said, 2-3 minutes. So even
Mm.
the worst, what you're doing is you're giving a non-stimulating exposure for 10 minutes.
Mm.
Okay. And the third thing we did it, we said, okay, you do you. So it's self-paced. It's not like, you might you might be okay with 10 minutes of screen time. Another
Yeah.
mom might be okay with, okay, 10 minutes, but twice a week. So
Yeah.
fine, right? So we made it self-paced so that every child can do it at their own pace, and also that. So we've tried, of course, at the end of the day, it's a screen, but we've tried whatever we can, and if you really compare it with some of the free stuff that is out there on
Yeah.
YouTube for kids, I mean, I would say you rather show this than that. I mean,
Yeah.
at least from the kid is learning something. And the good thing is, I mean, not across the board, but we've had many parents who said, now my kid doesn't want to watch that. Now she wants to watch this, right? So that qualitativeness is, the kid, it's nice that even despite it not being attractive in the conventional sense, kids enjoy it. And you'll note, I mean, we notice with Tootly kids, they talk to the character. So they feel that they relate to the character. And again, how we've designed the character and all of that, a lot of thought. I won't go too much into that. I think I have a whole philosophy about that, but about how the character is and all of that. But it is, yeah, the whole point was to make it accessible,
Hmm.
but not addictive, and not from a, from a greed point of view, but from a learning point of view, what the minimal is required.
Beautiful, beautiful. And tell me, I've heard you talk about music as a brain builder, improving memory, speech, and cognition. Could you help parents understand the science behind that? What is it?
Not a scientist, but so what I've learned is secondary knowledge, and of course first-hand experience as a parent. Okay, but music in a baby. Okay, even I would say before 3 years, how kids learn language is
Hmm.
very similar to how kids learn and understand, interpret music. Because you can think of music as a very specific case of language, right? It has sounds and patterns and rhythms. So you would have, as moms, we speak to our babies long before they can speak back to us, right? So it's
Right.
like that. It's about giving that input. And the baby in their mind is maybe not understanding the meaning of the word, but they are interpreting our tone and our expression and our, our volume. So these are all musical elements, right? Second is music itself. When you learn it through patterns, because that's the
Hmm.
easiest for the brain to identify and all of that. So suppose I sing a phrase, for example, and I see that firsthand with so many kids. Even if they don't know English, even if they don't, even if you're meeting for the first time, can they kind of reproduce that phrase? Now, how are they doing that? They're hearing something, they're kind of storing that pattern, saying she sang it like ta, 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 okay? And they're just saying it back. So the
Hmm.
brain processed it in some way, right? There was no sare gama, there was nothing. So that's what music helps them do, because music is specifically made in patterns. It's easiest to learn when you identify a pattern, right? So the brain understands patterns, wants patterns, seeks patterns. So music just kind of encourages that by giving them more patterns. So that is one. Second is because language and music are so closely related in terms of how they're processed. I
Yeah.
think one helps the other. I mean, again, I'm not a speech therapist at all, but we have many customers who come saying their speech therapist has recommended that they learn music. So there is some
Hmm.
this thing. And I think at that age, right? I mean, you don't expect a toddler to go learn karate. Like there are few things that they can do. So this is such an easy way to give that an additional layer of input to the child.
Yeah.
Uh, like we make them play with sand, and we make them touch and feel different things. So there's like a mental sensory input for them, different sounds, different instruments, different patterns. So yeah, of course I mean, there are many studies on this. There are longitudinal studies, but I feel, you can ignore, even if you ignore the science, as a parent, right, that doing more of this is going to be helpful for my child, definitely.
Yeah, yeah. Do you have a favorite story or moment from your classes, something a child said or did that reminded you why
Oh, I
this
don't know.
work matters?
This was very, very early on. I mean, there are many beautiful stories, but I remember this one. I was teaching then at a preschool. So when this was pre-COVID, I used to go there once or twice a week, and they must be like 2 or 3 year olds on an average. There was this one kid who had been in the school for 6 months, and he had not said a word,
Wow.
okay, in school.
Hmm.
It's He had no issue. It was just a mental block. So at home, he would step out of school and he would be a normal kid. In school, he had not said a single word in those 6 months. I didn't know this, unfortunately. So I went there and I started my class, and the kids started singing with me. Whatever I did, some
Wow.
fun act. And I remember, like, the IM, the nannies, they came running in because it was the first time that they had heard his voice. And he has music at home, and from there he just kind of blossomed, and he started singing and talking. It was, I don't know what happened. He just, like, I just, it was again something that, a fun game, like I said, we'll be a butterfly or something. I don't know what connected with him in that moment, that he just opened his mouth and he felt this is my moment to start. It was so nice to see that, it was just that small encouragement that he needed, that he felt now it's okay. Now I'm okay,
Yeah.
in this environment. And such a big moment, right, for a 3-year old,
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
be okay and to speak to his friends. And he really blossomed and he became one of the best students. He was actually such a sincere singer. It was really amazing to work with him for the next few months.
I'm having goosebumps as we talk because this is such a beautiful story. Tell me, for parents who are listening, when is the right time to start music? Is there such a thing as too early or too late?
So it also depends by what you mean as start music. Okay.
Hmm.
A lot of parents who even now come to me say, oh, but isn't he too young?
Hmm.
Because they've been told by a music teacher in their locality, and rightly so, because, it is not easy to handle a toddler, that please wait till they're 6 or 7. Okay. Now, if you say, I want to teach my child to speak my mother tongue, and if somebody tells you, please wait till they're 6 or 7, you would say no, right? I mean, I can clearly see that he's understanding what I'm saying and he can say a few words. Why should he wait? So you kind of, that 0 to 5, that amazing, phase in a infant's childhood, where the brain is just growing in a growth spurt, where you should give them I'm not even saying music, every type of input. You're missing that phase entirely by skipping this. Just why? Because your traditional format is not geared to handle a 3-year old. It's not
Right.
the 3-year old's fault, right, that you have a 45-minute class and that he
Yeah.
has no peers. So why should he or she suffer? So I would say, I mean, I was singing to my baby when he was in my tummy. So
Hmm.
let's say minus whatever, right?
Yeah.
To start is a good age to start. Once they're born, naturally in many homes, the parents are always with the kids, uh, without realizing you're giving them musical input. You're singing them lullabies, you're playing music for them. This is all input. We don't realize it because we don't get an output, we don't get a reaction from the baby at that time. But you see that the lullaby will calm the kid, rocking in rhythm will calm the kid. So these are all musical elements that they are getting exposed and they're reacting to in a way.
Yeah.
Now, what you can do is, as they grow a little older, maybe they start speaking, till the 0 to 2, I would say just expose them to variety as much as possible, because that's the main ingredient of success at that age. A lot of variety. So, what do you mean? Listen to a lot of different music. Okay, instruments. YouTube, the internet is at our hands, at our fingertips. You'll get everything from Indian to and good quality stuff. Listen to music. Second is, talk to them, constantly talking in a sing song manner also at times,
Hmm.
right? Three, whenever if you get a chance, expose them to some live music. Maybe you can take them to a temple where there is bhajan. Maybe you can take them out concert. The baby will sleep, no problem, but it's still going in, right? So take live music has a different power. That was another, maybe I'll come back to it, another story, another moment, as you said, that I experienced the power. Um, so take them to live music. Maybe you have a friend who's a musician, just take them there for 10 minutes. Let them hear that guitar or the drum. Let them maybe touch and feel it. You're just giving them that exposure. And once they start speaking a bit, uh, making them learn chants or mantras, because it's a little different. It's like a bridge between speech and music. Chants, because you do say it in a rhythm, right?
Right.
You do say there's a certain pattern to it. There's a certain rhythm to it. There's also a little bit of a tune and a melody, and there's also a certain you say it the same way every day, so that memory is building. You may not talk a sentence the exact same way every day. But if you're saying, say, Om Bhur Bhuvaswa, we all say it in a certain way every time. So that is reiterating that pattern and that building that memory in that child. So yeah, and then once they're 3, then join Tootly.
Absolutely.
No, just kidding.
Yeah, absolutely. And tell us about that live music memory. I don't want to miss that story.
So when we were doing the sessions, I realized that these kids, they don't get like I told you, I used to go to concerts all the time. But I mean, as parents, we may not take our, as parents, first of all, we may not go attend a live music, like a classical concert now. Even if we do, we probably, a toddler is not allowed. Even if they're allowed, we probably will not prefer to take them because con leke jaye. So I realized these kids are not getting exposed to like real music. Like nobody's actually singing for them, nobody's performing for them. So I had a few musician friends. One of them played the sarod, one of them played the flute, violin. So I said, can you come over and I'll have my kids, my Tootly kids, and let's see. I don't know if they'll sit and listen. So the guy came unprepared. They sat for 40 minutes in front, 2 feet from him, and listened to the sarod playing a classical rag.
Wow.
And he just thought, they are 3-year-olds. What are they anyway going to listen? I'll just show the sarod. I'll do a teow teow a little bit. And for 40 minutes, they sat there because that is the power of live music. See, it's one thing to listen to it on the phone or YouTube, but when you sit in front of that instrument, that kind of stereo effect, it transfixes you. Even a tabla, even a simple instrument like tabla or tanpura. So that's why I was saying, when you get a chance or like actively seek out musician friends and go say, can I get my kid? So yeah, do that, because there's nothing like that. There's really nothing like that. And the kid will surprise you. Every kid can learn music. I think that is another unfortunate, presumption, stereotype that, oh, uske gale mein Saraswati hai, that kind of talk I hear even now. I mean, have you given the child a chance to learn? Then can we judge the child after first you give them a chance? You don't doubt whether a kid will learn math or English, right? I mean, why do you doubt that a kid can learn music? Because let him put 10 years behind it and then we can judge, like, right? I mean, you don't, the first day that you send a kid to school, you don't say, nahi, nahi, aaya nahi abhi ABCD, that's not how it works. So why do that with anything else before giving them a chance? And I mean, all the greats, of course, they have beautiful voices, but it's not that, I mean, Adele is a singer, Shreya Ghosal is a singer, Usha Uttup is a singer. There are completely different voices, right? So it's not about the voice at all, but you've forgotten their years of riyaz and mehnat that has gone beyond where they are. When they open their mouth and you feel good about what you're hearing. So everything requires years of practice. So you need to give the chance to do that first before saying ki ye seekh sakti hai ya nahi and all of that, right? So I'm hoping that as maybe these Tootly kids will grow up and their kids, that's my hope, that at least we are rearing a generation of music loving, people who will grow up and not have that bias that, oh, classical music is not for us, and oh, I can't learn music, because they know that I enjoy music, and they'll hopefully expose their kids to music early on.
Beautiful, beautiful. And you've now spoken as an educator, but as a mother yourself, how has music helped in your parenting? Has it changed the way you approach calm, creativity, and connection with your own child?
Yeah, I mean, see, uh, as a person who learned music, that is part of my identity, because it's not 1 or 2 years. That was only other thing I did apart from academics. So that's my life. So it was a point of connection with me and my child. Like, if he can enjoy music, then I can. It's something we do together. It's something we sing together. And it's also nicer as a parent. You feel good when your kid does well in something, right?
Yeah.
It's a moment of pride. So when you see your kid like picked up a bandish just because I took him to practice one day and he was playing on the side, but I made sure that he's in the same room, and then that he's singing it the next day. There's that, it's a nice bonding moment. It's a Of all the things, when you're a new mother and you're not feeling good about anything else, I think it's a nice feeling to know kuch to sahi kar rahe hain, that kind of thing. The second is, of course, I saw him pick up a lot. We have a piano at home, and my husband also was learning the piano, and I saw him pick up. I have so many videos of him, trying to mimic my bandmates at that time, and he would have the guitar, and he would even copy, and he would be like, Gunya hai, what is that song? Malang le malang te like tala, and so it was beautiful to see him enjoy that world. And especially with no screens, we really had to think of things to pass the time, right? So I used to spend a lot of time with him. Singing was one, and all of this was a really nice thing. He hasn't, I mean, of course, he went through the Tootly process and all of that. Even now, he has that this thing, but he's not a performer yet. So he's shy, but he does enjoy music. He does have his taste of music. We share songs with each other. So yeah, definitely, I think it's a fun way to bond with your child, especially if that's part of your own identity as a person, then you can bring it to your parenting.
Yeah. And what I'm also interested about is that you talked about how can parents nurture a love of music in the kids. But do you also have some thoughts about how can schools do that, like traditional education system? Because this aspect is, I think, it was missing from my education, and I
Yeah.
don't know if it is changed a lot.
I think it is changing now. It was missing a lot from our education. I mean, I am sure your school also had a music class like mine did, but it was probably like, that once a week, which basically everybody doesn't pay attention to, ki masti wala class, right? Uh, in higher grades, I still see that in India, because the focus on academics is very, very difficult to waver, right? Still in our system. But in like Montessori schools and pre-primary schools, I see now a conscious effort. Some of the schools, not all, uh, where like SAPA India does a great, great job of taking music to schools, even in smaller towns and cities. Uh, there are smaller educators who might be, individually doing this in schools. Uh, I don't know if there's a structured program like Tootly out of school, but yeah, I mean, school would be the best place to start. It's also because you'll notice that kids learn better with music, right? Why do we have ABCD songs and why do we have songs for colors? Because you remember better when it's rhyming and when it's a pattern and when it's a tune. You actually learn better. So I think we're a few years, or maybe, I don't know, maybe another generation away till music is really integrated into the curriculum. It's still an external kind of, okay, activity class, but I think the quality of that activity is definitely changing for the better. So that's nice. And of course, outside India, this is a big concept. I mean, a lot of my inspiration was also from what has happened in Europe and the US and Southeast Asia over decades now. I don't know if you've heard of a thing called Kinder Music. It's a Europe based. So they had that program. They brought it to India, but again, I think didn't work because it's a little expensive and limited to tier one cities. But and context, no cultural context is not there. But that's what they're doing with their kids. Like they're introducing music and their folk music at ages 3, 4, 5. Kids in Japan are learning violin at that age. I mean, so there's I think we just underestimate the potential of what we can do. So I don't know when that mindset will change will come. Hopefully by the next generation. I don't see this generation benefiting from it. But yeah, for music to be really integrated into this thing. We did do that. You were asking about how it helped in my parents. So when I was homeschooling, so one day we would make a song about something that we're learning, right? Okay, so let's make a poem about this, or let's see how this maths table and this pattern is fitting in. So there's actually so much to be done. But until the education system as a whole accepts कि ऐसे कर सकते, it's going to be difficult.
Yeah. And I am also interested about your personal story now, starting at the very beginning. You said you performed on stage when you were just 3 years old. Is that true?
Yeah. But I mean, it's not that it was my solo concert. It probably would have been in something where I sang a song. Apparently, I was sitting behind the harmonium and I couldn't be seen above it also because I was that small. Like I said, I've grown up in a musical household, and there was a lot of culture and music. I mean, there was a lot of everything. There was also theater and all of that, theater, literature, music. So we were constantly exposed. It was a very given thing. Ki, haan, there's a play, of course, you're taking part in it. There's a concert, of course, we are going for it. It was not a big deal. I mean, now I realize how big a deal that was to be exposed. But growing up, it was never a question. Okay, you have school tomorrow, so what? We'll sleep late one day, but we'll go to the concert. We'll go to this music practice. So it was all very normal. And we had that tape recorder, just say we had to learn the song, rewind, karke. I would learn the song. Uh, I, I didn't know better. My parents made me learn some really difficult songs for my age, but apparently I learned them. So that was nice. And then when I turned 7, that's when I formally started learning Hindustani classical with my Guruji. But long before that, I was singing bhajans and whatever, my parents threw at me, I think.
I mean, music is not then, another thing that you did. It was just a part of life,
Correct, correct, correct,
right?
correct, correct.
Yeah, yeah. And so, do you have your earliest memories of music growing up? What are those like?
So my parents, my father had a tanpura that he would play every morning, and I would wake up to that music. So he would play, yeah. So like I said, right, it was a very normal thing around the house. Now I realize how abnormal it is to be woken up to the sound of a parent playing a live tanpura for you. Uh, very, very lucky, and I mean, I think in that sense. So that is one of the memories. We there was a group of us, all of us the same age, so all of us would like perform, at these pujas, or whether it was Ganesh Puja or Datta Jayanti. Whenever there's a music concert, it would start with the kids singing something. So again, it's not, we were never asked, do you want to sing? No, you have to sing. You can sing this song. You learn it. You go perform it. फिर जैसे भी हो. So it was very normal to, oh, there's something coming up. That means I have to sing. So it was okay. And these were all, yeah, like self-taught, or maybe my parents corrected me a bit. But that's how, growing up, there were a lot of instruments in the house. So sometimes my dad would just sing for his own sake. And I had learned to pick up the harmonium. So I was playing the harmonium when I was that age, whatever little I knew. Uh, he never made me realize that it's a big deal. So, I also felt that, okay, ye to normal hai. Like if he's singing, I should be able to follow him on the harmonium. So I followed him. A friend's father played the tabla. So she knew all the tabla tal. So we were also surrounded. I think that peer group also helps a lot, because when you're doing it isolated, it becomes that much more difficult to kind of enforce it on the child. But if the child sees four other kids doing it, then it becomes normalized.
Yeah,
Right. So
yeah,
that's also important, to kind of find those like-minded people in your group, who you can do stuff together with, maybe go to
yeah,
concerts together or listen to music together. I think
yeah.
that's maybe one point I missed, which I realize is, especially in today's age when kids are very opinionated and they don't listen.
Yeah. And what about your training? What was that like? Did you feel that suddenly you are coming to this, now from a thing which was part of life to suddenly which is now a discipline?
Maybe not initially. I was very, very young when I started, and this at-home music continued. So it was like, this is one track, and that is one track, right? So I never thought of it as much, and because I started when I was very young, uh, I had no opinion about, like,
Hmm.
how long I'm going to learn or why I'm learning. It's like, okay, आवाज अच्छी hai, so you will learn music. So I went. My Guruji was a very you can say, he was well versed with, of course, music, but also he was an academician, like a musicologist. So I think he also took it as a little bit of an experiment in how he taught me. So for many, many years, I hadn't written down a single word of what I was learning. It was all supposed to be just by memory and practice.
Wow.
And I realized many years later, कि अच्छा books होते हैं. I didn't know that there are notes and you can refer to notes. So I think maybe about 6, 7 years into learning, he said, okay, here's a book. You can copy the song that you've been saying. So for many years now, I don't remember all of it, but all of it was in my head. All of
Hmm.
it was just learned by memory and by understanding, and by that memory of that Guruji singing it and how you're singing it back. Of course, I was very scared. He was quite old when he was more 60 years old.
Wow.
When he started, he was actually retired. He's passed away now, but he wasn't teaching too many people. Luckily, my whatever, our bonds were there. So he said okay to teaching me. And because I was very, very young, he kind of has literally taught me from the first start. Everything I know because of him in music. So it's been a long association. I finally left when I moved to IIM, and also he was much older by then. Then kind of, life took a little bit of a turn, because I went to investment banking and career at corporate. While I was singing in college a little bit, I never got time to go back to music very seriously. I wasn't also sure if I wanted to make music as my profession, a
Yeah.
full-time profession at the time, because you're talking about 15, 20 years ago, when it was not the most paying job. And now it's very easy to put yourself out there. It was not easy to then. So I kind of said, okay, I'm not sure about this, but this is something, academics and all. Anyway, I was doing well with academics also. So it was an easier route to kind of go to IIM and then the job and then, a salaried, whatever, life, earning life. So yeah, all of that turned when I had a kid. And I think from there we've spoken. So that's when I decided to uh, put the brakes on and said, okay, I need to be present for my child. I can't decide to have a child and then be in office 16 hours a day. So yeah.
Yeah, but uh, again, a very personal question. Do you miss your old corporate life?
No, no. I do miss some aspects. Like, of course, uh, the kind of money that I earn now is way less. No comparison. So I do miss that. In the sense that I do miss having that luxury of having that money coming in. Uh, and yes, now, especially post COVID, we are like working in a remote setup. I have a small team. It's mostly women who also need to be home because they're parents. So I kind of miss that, having those office friends and that kind of life of hanging out and chai, going for chai and all of that. But yeah, not too much. It's fine. I think I've changed as a person also after I became a parent. So you kind of value different things at different points in life. Now I value my time, the fact that I'm home when my son comes back from school. I feel that is important for him and for me. So yeah, these are the things I value, and I get to do that because I have my own setup that I get to decide my hours and how I work and what I work at. So that is definitely more important to me now than maybe just the money. So, and I mean, touch wood, we're not in a place where money is that critical. Yeah, yeah, that we have to do whatever we have to do. So we are all fairly blessed that way, I think, the kind of lives we live.
Yeah, yeah. And do you get time for yourself between all of the things that you do? What does time for self look like?
Time for self is solving crosswords. But I do enjoy, actually, I'm not much of a loner. Like if I have time, I will look for friends to hang out with, or I'll go out with my family. So I'm not an extrovert. I enjoy company. So I don't enjoy being alone too much, actually. So except maybe at night when I'm tired, then I want to do my crossword or like play cards on my phone and just YouTube and just not think about anything. I do get time. I think the a little bit of a problem with my day is that it varies every day. So it's not a fixed schedule. It's not like 9 to 5, and I know that I'll be free at this time every day. It's because one is because I run my own business, so you can't really switch off a lot of the times. It's not hectic. There's no tension, but it's you're always seeing the messages, the emails, and half a little bit of your mind is on that. The second is I'm fairly involved, with at home and my child, so that takes up a little bit of my bandwidth too. Yeah, we stay in Hyderabad where our both sides of our family are. It was a decision to move back here so that we are with the family. So yes, there is a lot of social meetings and all of that takes my time. But I enjoy it. I think I enjoy the flexibility of it more than anything else.
Yeah, yeah, that sounds lovely. And tell me on a very personal note, do you have any rituals or things that you do with your partner or with your son that that is reserved for just the three of you, just or just the two of you, whichever one that you're doing that thing with, and
So with my partner, it's probably, I think we just get time in the evenings or after dinner. So yeah, we like to go for a calm walk, maybe a 20-minute walk, just catching up on the day. On Sundays, we like to go somewhere, sit at a coffee shop. We just like neither of us are, because for 6 days are working for both of us. So that one Sunday is very valuable, those few hours. Or just kind of go sit somewhere, have a coffee, that kind of a thing. With my son, yeah, there are many more rituals. Usually, I think 90% of the time I'm there with him when he's off to bed. So that is one. That's when, the something that's on his mind comes out without asking. I'm usually, like I said, I spend some half an hour with him when he comes back from school. So what happened at school? this and that. We also like to do a few things together. Like he enjoys cooking, so that's something he and I do together. Even my partner enjoys cooking, so cooking is, I think, something that all of us enjoy at times. So that's one more thing that we do together. And I like that my son also enjoys cooking, because I think he should grow up knowing to cook. And so it's nice. It's nice, especially if we are having somebody over, then, we're preparing, we're planning the menu, we're just deciding what to have this week and all of that. So yeah, some of those things.
Okay. And going back to Tootly, I want to ask, was there any reservation that you faced when it came to kind of recruiting your first batch of children, or getting customers, and when you started to scale up the business, were there any challenges that you faced in convincing people that music could be taught in this way?
Yes, I mean, initially, I think the challenge was more internal, because till then, as I said, I had been like a normal corporate job, a high earning corporate job. It's a very different life and different mental setup that you come from. And then you're like, up to music teacher ho, like, what do you tell people, right? It's not a very glorified profession.
Yeah.
And I mean, what I was doing was also not glorified. Forget what others think. It's like 8 kids, and you're just, it seems like you're just doing time pass with them on the face of it, because it's not even like serious music that is being heard. So I think that was a challenge for me, to say this is okay. And only when I think that changed, when I realized, okay, I'm good at this, and I see that difference in kids. Those experiences that I told you about. I think that's what said, okay, it looks like not everybody can do this, because I felt like, how many music teachers would be there in every community and city, right? There'll be so many, and I don't want to be one of them. Like, it's okay to be a music teacher, but then I still want to utilize my time in the best way, to be excellent in what I do. So first challenge was internal, to kind of get used to doing that. Then yes, so many, because they would say, no, but how can a 3-year-old learn? And I mean, see, if you've never, when you start a business, maybe you've also experienced, it's not easy to put yourself out there. It's not easy to say, can you pay me money for this? It feels very demeaning at that time, till you come to a point when people are coming to you, which is what happens now. So yeah, that is a challenge. Now at this scale, the challenge is more about how to make it work for every kid, because when we started, it was a small group. It was probably people we knew, like-minded people. So the way the kids were learning, it was, I could anticipate it. Now we're a big business. I mean, almost 3,000 kids have at some point done it. So not every child is the same, not every parent is the same, not every parent has the same expectation. So what works for one child doesn't work for the other. So even though there have been so many kids, every kid is a new kind of challenge, because, oh, now what is not working for him, and I have to figure out. And the format is that you're not dealing with the parent or the child every single day, right? You're not. So they're doing something in the background, and then at some point when you meet, then you have to figure out what went right and wrong, and kind of in that one meeting, try and help them, try and convince them. A lot of the times also, people don't feel कि ये तो उसमें क्या है, तो YouTube पे देख लेगा, सारे गमा, like what we're trying to teach may not be understood every time by a parent, because they don't have the background, like so it's difficult for them to understand at that level of what we are trying to do. Also sometimes immediate results are not seen, then not every parent has the patience for that. So those are more challenges now, because these are kids that we don't know, these are kids that we've not met physically. Like imagine just getting 15 minutes with a kid on Zoom and trying to gel and interact and form a rapport with them suddenly. Yeah. So it is difficult. So I think those are more scale related challenges that come now. And even now, like you said, music is not mainstream, music is not a priority, music is not it's not something that every parent feels रहना चाहिए.
I was saying now also it is more like a hobby. It is not a mainstream subject.
Correct. Yes, yes, absolutely. So that's why I said, like, it is still a output oriented hobby.
Yeah.
He, can she sing? Will she become a singer? But that's not why you need to learn music, right? I mean, You don't have to learn music only to become a singer. You can learn music to appreciate music or to enjoy music or just to have music in your life. That change, I think, is slowly coming. I wouldn't say it's not there. It depends again on that background of the parent and या फिर वही है कि oh but she's not singing anything yet. Like they don't understand it needs time, and we are not trying to teach them a song to sing at the next Ganesh Utsav. That's not our attitude. So sometimes that mismatch happens, but I think thankfully what we put out there, the messaging, hopefully we attract the right kind of parents. I mean, who understand, because I'm quite clear on my philosophy, and I'm quite clear that I will not dilute it beyond a certain extent just to make it a popular product. So I don't mind if it doesn't become the next whatever big thing. It's okay if I have 100 kids, but I want to make sure that the 100 kids are learning properly. It's okay if it's not 10,000 kids, because that's not what I want my legacy to be. That's all. So
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. And if you could leave parents with one piece of advice about nurturing creativity, whether it's through music, whether it's through anything else, what would that be?
I think as a mom, what I realized was don't take the child for granted. Don't estimate what your child can or cannot do before giving them that chance. So our job is to be the enabler, especially in that till they're 4, 5, 6. The more input. So I'm not saying only music, right? It could just be whatever time you spend with them, you know whether it's just going for a walk and observing the different types of leaves that there are, or whether it's going and playing with them, because at that age children learn by observing. So I noticed when I took my kid to the park, for example, if a child fell and I ran to the child saying, "Are you okay?" The next time he would start doing that. I didn't have to teach him to be kind. I had to be kind. And then he would see that. Or I had to enjoy music and he would enjoy that. Or I had to draw and paint and he would draw and paint. So it is at that age, they're just like so in awe of their parents, I think, that, they follow. And the worst thing we can do is tell them what they should be doing, or judge them at that point. So just keep it as open, and you I'm sure every kid surprises their parent in some way at some point or the other. So that seems like a little bit of a philosophical advice, but
But I think we can all do with that because
yeah.
we all need to hear such philosophies, I don't know, time and again. And tell me, if we want to enroll our kids into Tootly music, what do we need to do?
First, please check our Instagram page. Convince yourself. You don't need to purchase it immediately. Look at all the kids. You can message us and we'll send you some sample videos so you can see that, to see how your kid is interacting. Because again, that age is so, like, every 3-year-old is not the same. So 1 3-year-old might be talking, one might be naughty, one might be super shy. So see what works for your kid. And we try to discourage parents from buying before, with less knowledge. So we first try to help them understand what they're paying for, what they're getting into. And then, and I think it's nice that I hear a lot of parents say, "Oh, I've been following your account for 6 months and now so I feel good. Okay, now you believe in me. Now you listen to me, and now you agree with what I'm saying." So that's always nice. So our Instagram page is Tootly Music. Please head to that, watch it. I mean, or see. So all those kids are all Tootly kids. It's all real videos, and me and whatever, whoever it is. They're real parents saying real things and saying real challenges also, because it's not easy. No, it's not easy to make a kid learn. Any parent will tell you that. You don't have to be a teacher to know that,
Yeah.
right? It's not easy to manage a child. So it's about what you say. Okay, this is okay, and I'm happy with this. So it's nice to see those journeys of the kids from when they started with us, and 6 months and 8 months, and how they go on to learn music later. And then the parent is like, "Oh wow, she's asking me, I want to learn the violin. I didn't even know." So because she saw the violin video, in a Tootly
Yeah.
video.
Yeah.
So I think that should be the journey, a gradual journey, and not a impulse purchase, is what I feel will take you farther.
We'll also put the details of your Instagram account in our show notes.
Oh,
Uh,
how nice.
yeah, and just my last question to you, a light one to end on. If you could gift every child in the world one song to grow up with, do you have a song? What would it be and why?
Do a Deer from Sound of Music. It's I think that movie has done our generation a huge favor by, again, the same thing. Music, kids, music can be fun. Learning music can be fun. It's a huge inspiration for Tootly also, of how that whole how she teaches the kids, in that. So I think Do a Deer, it's not my gift to give, but it's already out there. So yeah, that's a beautiful song to grow up with and learn. And it's also not, it's also a technical song, so you'll end up learning something if you actually sing that song properly. It's not as easy as it looks or sounds.
Beautiful. Mukta, this has been such a heartwarming and inspiring conversation. Thank you. Thank you for sharing your love of music with us. Thank you for sharing what you shared. And I personally, I mean, I'm sure our listeners are taking away a lot as well. But I am personally taking away so much. I can't wait for my child to turn 3 so that I can subscribe to Tootly. Thank you so much
How
for being here.
sweet. Thank you. Lovely chatting with you too. It's always nice to speak to a kindred parent, who has
Yeah.
the same thoughts as you. So lovely chatting with you too.
Thank you. And to all our listeners, thank you for joining us today. If this episode struck a chord with you, please do subscribe to Parenthood. Share it with a friend who loves music or parenting conversations and leave us a review. It really helps more people find our show. Until next time, I am Neha and this is Parenthood. Take care. Bye bye.